Hi guys, I'm here to talk to you about TypeScript. I'll give you, in this 10 minutes, within this 10 minutes, give you a brief introduction of why TypeScript was made and the history, and why you need to learn it, basically. And basically also show some basic code examples. So first, let's talk about JavaScript. JavaScript is a high-level, dynamically typed language that is functional in nature. Okay, that's a lot of jargon. Basically, what it means is that JavaScript does not know what type of variable it is until it is actually instantiated at runtime. So it could be a number, or it could be a string. You don't. I mean, it doesn't matter. Does not matter to JavaScript. It's also entirely object-based, and everything is an object. We use prototypes for classes. You already all know that. So what is TypeScript? You can think of TypeScript as something that's very similar to what SASS does for CSS. It's just syntactic sugar over JavaScript. So basically, every JavaScript code you write, is also a valid TypeScript code. So you've been writing TypeScript and you don't even know it. Understanding compiled TypeScript is not difficult at all. Basically, if you want to write, like something you write in TypeScript and you want to go back to JavaScript, you just take the compiled version, and it's basically JavaScript. So you can work directly with it. It says it's add optional static typing to JavaScript. Basically, what it means is that it adds types so that it protects you against your own self. So sometimes you can have bugs that are caused by what a variable can be. Is it a string or a number? Sometimes you don't know. So that's what it helps with. And how strict your code is up to you. One of the large-scale study that was done on GitHub showed that statically typed languages are usually less prone to errors. So take that for example. It uses so the class-based object-oriented programming in JavaScript is very similar to the way they use in Java or C. So people who are coming from the other languages are very familiar with it. So they love Java. That's one of the reasons TypeScript is really popular. Something important that I basically forgot. You can use all the ES6 stuff in TypeScript. So you have the fat arrows, the spread operator, destructuring, everything can be used within TypeScript. So a little bit of history of TypeScript. It started developing in 2011 or so, but it was released by Microsoft in 2012. It is part of their momentum to be focused on developers and be like the cool company again. It is open sourced and it's on GitHub. So if you want to see what's under the hood, go check it out. The creator of TypeScript is Anders Hellsberg. Basically, he's the lead architect of C. So you can imagine there's some really power behind TypeScript. In March, basically before React got really where it is right now, Angular 2's worked with Microsoft to everything will be written in TypeScript. So if you were to go to a next job and you were working with Angular 2, you have to learn TypeScript. So let's take some look at some TypeScript code. Let's go back here. All right, can everybody see that? So on the left hand side, you'll see is just a it's just called example.ts. On the right hand side is the converted JavaScript code. So for now, let my name :string equals to Zohaib. So that basically means that my name would always be a string. So it's typed to type string. My age is typed to a number, or is it Boolean or not? So basically, you can confirm, this variable it is this. So basically, what happens when you give it a type, and you want, for example, if I do this to Zohaib here and try to compile it, it will give me an error. Type Zohaib is not assignable to type number. So it will still convert it to JavaScript, but the compiler will yell at you. It's like, hey, you said this was the type and this is not the type. Let's turn that back. One of the things we in arrays in JavaScript is you can have any kind of type within the array. In TypeScript, you have to usually specify what's going to be in the array. So, for example, with alphabets, you have to tell you it's a string array, and it can only have string arrays, A, B, C, D, or you could have number. So if I change this to 1, again, it yelled at me. Hey, guy. So let's turn that back. But if you want to have a mixed array, you could do it with mixed with any. And then you can have any mixed type in an array. Same thing with functions. You can define what the input would be for a function. You tell it it's a name, string. Or you could, and also tell it what's going to be the output. So if you're doing like a add number 1, number 2, and you tell us the output should be a number. TypeScript is smart, it knows it should be a number, but you can define it. Sometimes you are writing a function that has no output, so you can also tell it to be void. So that's one of the examples. So let's go to interface. So interface is something that TypeScript introduced. It's a great way to set up agreements on like what the object shape of the object literal would be like. As you see, it's on the compiled JavaScript. You don't have this. This is basically like in part of development. You can basically say, okay, these are the strict types that I want in my object. So I created an address book. It's a contact array, which is an empty array. And I'm going to put all objects in an array. So this is a contact. I told them it's going to be a string. Everything is a string. And I push it into an address book. Simple as that, right? But what if I put a number as number and save it? It said, no, wait, you messed up there. It yelled at me. It's like, hey, you said it was going to be a number, but it's a string. Next thing. So that's pretty cool, I think. And interfaces has a lot of other language already have interface. So this is something that's being introduced to JavaScript through TypeScript. Third thing is class. So class is also has like you can obviously give it like what the interface would be, and then you can also define what the make would be. So class car name would be a string, model info would be whatever that's coming from here, and then you just gonna. So this is like the longer version of writing a class. Not many people actually use it in TypeScript. The shorter version is kind of very similar to if you've ever written Java or something. It's like class car2, constructor, public name, string, public model info, make. And as you can see, it compiles properly to JavaScript. Oh, sorry. So all right, so that's pretty much it. Let me go back to. So this is basic introduction. So why should you care about JavaScript, right? TypeScript. As you can see, this is the month. So this is from January 2015 all the way to 2017. That's the growth of NPM packages that have been downloaded on TypeScript. So you can see the month-to-month growth is amazing. Almost 30 million has been like downloaded, and then there's 4 million per month. It's basically it's if you already know if you TypeScript is not a risky choice. It takes very little effort to get used to it, and it's not a completely different language. And it is basically JavaScript or TypeScript can interoperate between each of them. So you can go back to JavaScript if you don't like TypeScript that much. Some of these other resources to learn. You can find more about it. I think this is a basic introduction, and there's I guess a lot of people are using them in React. And Angular 2 is pretty much written in TypeScript, so I think it's well worth time spent learning, and kind of like, especially in the next employer, probably might ask for it too. Thank you.